Teachers on the Road, our new educational travel series, which allows us to talk with individuals all over North Carolina about positive topics affecting education in our state. I'm really excited about this new companion series to Tar Heel Teachers, the educational panel talk show, and Tar Heel Teachers at Home, our video cast, which allows us to use technology to have conversation around the state. But with this new show, I have a microphone and I have a chance to use it all over the state as I talk with individuals about these great topics. So for this first episode of Tar Heel Teachers on the Road, I visit the Queen City, Charlotte, and I had a great time in the Queen City. It was a lot of fun. I had an opportunity to go to Providence Day School for the 2020 Gap Year Fair, and it was a great opportunity to learn more about this program that a lot of high school seniors are opting to utilize as they plan their post-secondary lives. A gap year or discovery year is an opportunity for recent high school graduates to learn about themselves, their likes, dislikes, their strengths, and what pathways are possible, all before they enroll in college. Participants benefit from a series of short experiences that immerse them in a variety of fields and help them build passion and purpose. Malia Obama famously opted to take a gap year before enrolling at Harvard University. Shows such as Blackish have addressed the gap year on the small screen. In fact, Blackish and Grownish star Yara Shahidi stayed plenty busy during her gap year before joining Miss Obama at Harvard. You do not have to be the first daughter or Hollywood actress to take a gap year. In 2016, Gap Year Association members and provisional members gave away a combined total of more than $4.2 million in scholarships and need-based grants. Each year, the Go Overseas team coordinates about 40 USA Gap Year fairs across the country so that families can learn about their options. Here is Jessica from Go Overseas. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Marlow. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming to chat. So what is it like to put the Gap Year Fair? You all visit over 40 cities, have all these different vendors. Tell us what it's like to coordinate such an event like this.
I think that whirlwind would be an understatement. I personally am going to all 40 events, so the Gap Year Fairs are my life for these 8 weeks. But it's also a tremendous experience. We have such great feedback from all of the local communities that we visit, from students, from parents, from educators, and from these programs. I spend most of my time working behind a screen, so it's really exciting to come and meet people face to face.
Especially when you put so much effort into building the partnerships and making sure that there's awareness about it, and then to get out on the road and really talk about it. So you all do this in 8 weeks.
In 8 weeks, every year from January to March.
Fantastic. How did you all choose that particular time frame?
I'm fairly newly joined to this industry, into the USA Gap Year Fair, so I don't know specifically, but from my understanding, it's mainly because that's the time frame that allows students enough time to plan their gap year, because obviously we do market a lot to seniors, and so in order for seniors to take gap time, especially over the summer, they need to start that timeline, those applications now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to make sure that everybody knows about their options. And so how do you choose the host sites? You'll go to various communities. If individuals were interested in hosting a gap year in their community, what type of criteria do you all look at?
The number one thing is a receptive community. So is it a community that's in an area where people have the ability and the interest to do a gap year? That's number one. We like to hit major cities just because there's a lot of people who have those criteria. But then another key thing for us is to have an enthusiastic and receptive host. So somebody who's not just looking at it as they're generously allowing us to use their facilities, but are they somebody who's also a really passionate and educated person who is doing their best to educate and empower their students about gap years, and who see it for what it is, that we're bringing this incredible opportunity to their school and to the local community.
Providence Day School has been a willing host for Charlotte's Gap Year Fair for many years. Here's Jack Whelan, Director of College Guidance. Hi, Jack.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. So you were instrumental in helping to bring the Gap Year Fair to Providence Day School. So tell us why you made that decision, why it's important.
Yeah, actually, USA Gap Year Fair, this is a tour that's gone around the country. We've been a part of this tour. I think this is our 10th or 11th year. We were one of the original high schools when there were only 6 or 7 fairs around the country. Now they've grown to 40. But when I got this opportunity from USA Gap Year Fairs, I leapt on it. Gap years while certainly not for everyone, have been a growing option for students. And we're excited that this fair is open not just to our Providence Day students, but to students all over Charlotte, and we'll have people drive in from an hour away because the other, there's a fair in Atlanta, there's a fair in Chapel Hill, but as far as the western part of the state, this is it. So we've really, really enjoyed our relationship with this fair.
That is great. So, Jack, when you're counseling students about their options, how do you make a decision or say, I'm going to put this out to this student or that student, or do you put it out to everybody? What's your approach when it comes down to counseling students about their options?
Yeah, well, we start, we'll be working with students as early as freshman year, but it's really junior year when we start talking very seriously about the college process. And to every student, usually in a group setting rather than individual, we make sure they understand that a gap year is a possibility. We are college guidance, and so, we are a college prep school, so, the default is, well, of course, 3 months after you graduate from here, you're a freshman in college, right? And so we make sure that we let the kids know, not necessarily. We do, you are college bound, but it doesn't have to be 3 months after you graduate. Whether it's a semester gap experience or a year gap experience, while it's not for everyone, there are options that are as limited as a student's imagination. Every possibility exists, and so we want to make sure, just as we want them to understand the hundreds of college options that are available to them, we want them to know that there is, this gap year possibility as well.
That's great. Now, Jack, you could have some parents who want their kids to go ahead and jump right into the college experience because they have some concerns about the gap year. What do you end up telling those parents if a student comes to you and say, I want to do a gap year? How do you help families to navigate that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I would say that it feels like in the U.S., maybe it was about 10 years ago that gap years were starting to gain some momentum. And then parents were very concerned. In fact, I had a parent one time call me and say, excuse me, are you the director of college guidance or the director of gap year? Really kind of incensed that I would bring up this possibility. Honestly, nowadays, we have more parents than kids initiating this discussion. I think that anyone who has looked into gap year possibilities, and it's been helped by the fact that a number of colleges will fund these things and support these things, anyone who's looked into gap year realizes this is not an escape from college. In fact, it might be a way to make the college experience that much more beneficial. Studies show that students do better in their freshman year in college following a gap year experience. This is in the classroom. This is in behavioral situations too. Kids are a lot more independent. They're a lot more able to handle their lives living independently after they have, explored the world or the United States in a gap year experience.
Families do not have to navigate the gap year experience on their own. J2 Guides is a gap year counseling firm. Here is Jane Sarouhan. All right, and Jane, you are a gap year counselor. So tell us what that means. What is a gap year counselor?
A gap year counselor is really like a college counselor. It's someone who's going to step in anywhere during the process where a student and parents are considering a gap year, maybe stuck somewhere in the process, and we come in to help assess your goals and interests, your budget, and help point you in the direction of the programs that we feel will best meet what you're looking for.
So what prompted you to get into this work, Jane? How did you get started, and how long ago did you get started with this work?
I've been in experiential education for 25 years now. Yeah, it's a while. In my junior year of college, I took a trip around the world as a study abroad year, and that certainly started to get the wheels turning of what it meant to learn outside the classroom, and the power of connecting with people with different ideas, different landscapes. And honestly, quite soon after that, within a handful of years, my early 20s, I started guiding trips, taking students overseas on community service programs. And it just, one thing led to another, and here I am. Yeah.
That is really great. So what kind of trends have you seen, Jane, since you have been, in it so long? Are we seeing more families participate? Are we uptick? Tell us about some of the trends that you've seen.
It's a great question. certainly I think the gap year movement is fully afoot here in the U.S., which is really exciting to those of us who've been doing the work for so long. So I think 20 years ago, it was a lot of education on our part. Gap year what? Which we still see, but I think one of the trends is just much more established recognition of what a viable option this is for students who need to take pause in the academic treadmill. I'd say the second thing that comes to mind is mental health. I think we've all seen that on the rise in our students. And so students are coming to gap year as an opportunity to take stock, address their mental health, address the academic burnout. That is the number one reported reason why students want to take gap time. And I think the content, the areas of interest, those are trends that ebb and flow. So more and more students want US-based opportunities. More and more students want more budget-friendly opportunities. And those are the things that we as a field are trying to really help address.
So, Jane, when we talk about burnout, students aren't burned out from learning. They're burned out from testing, sitting in the classroom, the traditional way of learning. Would you say that? But students are still eager to learn, and this gives them opportunity to do that.
Yes, and I love that you made that distinction. Yeah, I think the traditional literal four walls of a classroom have just started to feel a little suffocating. I do think the push towards college, the rigors of what it's taking to get into college, the number of AP classes or whatever it may be, and students are wondering to what end? Why am I working so hard? What is it for? So it's not that we're looking at students who aren't passionate about things. In fact, if anything, I'm seeing a sense of global citizenry really rise in this generation right now. They want to be engaged, whether it's politically or environmentally, socially, social justice, human rights. Like, students are charged up, and I think school has taken so much effort in a certain kind of way that the energy that's remaining is drained. And so you made a great distinction, and I'm going to be careful for myself in the future about making sure that we are being really clear that students are still incredibly passionate, but that the traditional landscape right now of learning towards this one thing, college, doesn't give students a tremendous sense of, I think, confidence and sense of possibility or agency even.
So you have seen all these different programs kind of spur up, and you really have, been one of the pioneers in this type of work. So when you consult with families, are there options for all families to participate in a gap year? Is it for a certain type of family, a certain type of student, or can really anyone have something tailored to what their needs are?
I believe and hope that there is something for everyone. As someone just asked me recently in an interview if I've ever gotten stumped. And that's somewhat similar to what you're asking. I do think there's something for everyone. I think families need to start with their own process, and sometimes that's a big part of what I'm helping with, which is assessing why they're taking a gap year. I talk about this all the time, like hashtag what's your why. We've got to start there. What is the purpose for taking the gap year? There's really no wrong reason, and maybe you have 5 reasons, and maybe there's one. So starting with that, we need to know that. And then close on the heels, we do need to know both what, of course, they want to do and what the budget is. So we need to establish those foundational parameters so that together we can build a gap year, because a gap year could be time at home, working, saving money, doing low-cost volunteer work exchange programs. So it doesn't all have to be a pay-to-play kind of experience. But only when we know what we're working with do we know how we need to work around that. I'm not sure if I totally answered your question. There's so much to say about it. But in terms of the areas of interest that students have, I have yet to be stumped. So whether it's someone who wants to study, Japanese anime, excuse me, or Spanish, or art, or film, or an internship in architecture, engineering, there really is something for everyone.
And it helps whenever they have somebody who can help them to navigate it. So that's what you do with your company. So tell us about your company and when you got started and what you all aim to do.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been in the field for about 25 years. I really have sat in every role as a field instructor, as a program director, as a director. I've been gap year counseling for 10 years. My husband, Jason, and I are J2 guides together. And we're really excited to be launching actually quite an innovative model this year. And it's looking to prioritize 2 main things in the gap year field, and that is student agency and financial accessibility. And the way that we've done that is we've taken traditional gap year counseling and broken it down into 3 distinct parts so that families can begin and maybe get what they need in the first part, go off and plan their gap year from there, or maybe circle back to us and engage us for a second part, maybe go off from there, or a third. So there's sort of 3 tiers. The first one is the one I'll just focus on for a moment. It's called Explore the Gap, and the kind of catchphrase is education and agency. So it's a 2-week course with 4 sessions. So Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday. So it's kind of like your gap year planning boot camp. It's $500, and we raffle one off at every event we ever speak at. Wonderful. So we're really trying to get in people's hands. Students log on live. It's live video and with worksheets and slideshows, trying to work with students in the mediums that they're so skilled at, and helping them to articulate and assess their personal goals, their budget, their safety criteria, and learning how to do research. So that's kind of the first place that students start with us. If they want to move on to a second tier, that's called Plan the Gap. They'll get one-on-one counseling with either myself or Jason, in which we'll look at those parameters that they established on their own and then help develop their program list. And the third and final tier is called Bridge the Gap, and that's kind of ongoing mentorship and support. And again, continued one-on-one sessions with a gap year counselor, either myself or Jason.
That's great. Congratulations on J2 Guides. I think that's wonderful that families have a resource that they can use as they navigate this experience.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to be here and doing your part to really promote this option among the local communities. We really appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Jane. Good to see you again.
The Irish Gap Year is structured around 4 cornerstone themes: cultural immersion, outdoor education, leadership skills, and community volunteering. Students are developed through group-led project work, reflection, and the principle of experiential learning. Students delve into Irish culture by living in a small town and by visiting some of Ireland's world-famous cultural and heritage sites. Here is Killian to tell us more about the Irish Gap Year.
How's everything going, Killian?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Marlow. Thank you. I'm impressed with your drags. Here, I try to make an effort myself.
No, you look great. So tell us about the Irish Gap Year and what does that entail?
So obviously it's in Ireland. We run 2 gap year programs. Both of them are 3 months long. Both of them start every September and every February. We have 2 different streams. So we have an adventure and leadership program, and we have an arts and culture program. So we kind of appeal to 2 different cohorts of students. Our program could be described as a structured program. Like, there are program leaders that are with the students 6 days a week. We also have a bit of learning independence. We give them their own house when they come to Ireland. They have to run that house for the 3 months. We give it to them on day 1, and they give it back to us in the exact same condition on day 88 of the program. We see the whole of Ireland. We do trips every second week. So the students it's community based, but the students get to go. They see Belfast, Dublin, Galway. They get to see the whole country by the end of it. We're a good first program for a student who's just finished high school. Ireland's an easy country. It's English speaking. If you guys understand me now, you'll understand most of the locals, and and there's loads of support. So
that is really great. So how many individuals do you accept for both of those cohorts?
So the maximum number of students we would get is 14 on any given program. For a whole load of reasons, we never go over 14. So it's small. We're a small company. There's like 8 to 10 employees. A lot of support. It's in our local community. It's in our local town. I mean, we pretty much know everything that happens anyway. So there's a lot of support for the students.
And all 14 are living in that home together?
Yeah, so each program, the adventure program live together, and then the arts program live separately together. So they're living, and it's co-ed, and they got to make it work.
Wow, that's interesting. So on average, how much does it cost?
So the cost of a 3-month program is $16,500 US. That includes everything, all their transport, all their accommodation, all their activities on the program, all their workshops if they're on the art program. So,
do you have any scholarships or financial aid available?
We do, yeah. You simply just contact us and ask about that, and we do. We have more scholarships available in our spring than our fall, because our fall program's usually oversubscribed. But yeah, we have. They're really based on kind of diversity, trying to make a more diverse cohort group. So that's how our scholarships works.
That's great. What is the reason why it's more heavily populated in the fall? A lot of people are interested in gap year at that time, or?
Well, I think gap year itself, no matter which gap year company, is more popular in the fall. I think an awful lot of people want a plan for the fall, so they do a structured program like ourselves, like Irish Gap Year, but like many of these other programs you'll see here. So an awful lot of people do gap in the fall, but a lot of those people, when they get to the spring semester, they might do independent travel, they might do volunteering, or they might start college. A common thing to do is they might take classes at a community college and work a bit to have fun college. So you get nearly everyone in fall, but like 70% of people doing something in spring.
That's great. So if we want to learn more information about the Irish Gap Year, how can we find it?
Simplest thing is Google Irish Gap Year, but our website, funny enough, is irishgapyear.com. So we're really easy on the SEO front. You can find us, and we're at all the gap year fairs all over the country. I know we're almost 2/3 of the way through that now, but we're in Atlanta and over on the West Coast. So.
Thank you so much. This is Killian, my fashionable friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't compare.
Thank you.
Up With People is a nonprofit organization that involves travel, the performing arts, volunteering, and various workshops focused around intercultural communication to teach young people how to interact with the multicultural environment and create change in various communities with diverse needs. Here is Matthias from Up With People.
How are you, Matthias?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. Tell us about Up With People. What do you all do?
So Up With People is an international nonprofit, and essentially what we do is take 100 young people from all over the world, bring that group together, and then they travel on world tours for a semester or a year, doing volunteer work, living in host families, and performing a big musical production, trying to make the world a better place.
Wow. So you always have 100 per year, or is it 100 per cycle whenever you have several cycles throughout the year? How does that work?
Right, so it's semester based, so we have about 100 per tour, so per semester about 100, representing usually around 20 different countries.
Wow. So where are you planning to go this year?
This year we're going through the western United States, and then we're going up to central Canada, and then we'll fly over to Europe and go to the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, but it changes every semester where we go.
Fantastic. So how do individuals finance their experience with Up With People? Do a lot of people pay out of pocket? Do you have scholarships, financial aid? Tell us about those options.
Yeah, so we have a lot of scholarships we offer that are need-based for things like diversity, musical ability, things like that. But most people fundraise actually and find sponsorship for themselves. So once you apply and get accepted, you get set up with someone in our office that has a full fundraising guide and all the ideas you need to make it achievable.
Fantastic. How long have you worked with Up With People?
I traveled as a participant myself in the fall of 2018, and I've been working with them ever since.
How has it been on this side and recruiting for individuals and trying to help them to choose Up With People? I mean, there's several options for gap year. How did you choose Up With People, and how do you tell people that this should be a good opportunity for them?
Yeah, I chose Up With People because it's in my family. My parents actually met in Up With People. My mom's from Sweden, my dad's from the States. Then my sister traveled, and I kind of didn't know what to do in school, so I figured this sounds something productive to do in my time, get out and get some new experiences. And I just fell in love with what we do, and I think that the impact we have in the world is so valuable that I had to dedicate more time in my life to being a part of this group, and that's why it excites me so much to share the opportunity with other people.
Well, thank you so much, Matthias, for chatting with us about Up With People. If they want more information, how can they contact you or learn more about your program?
Yeah, so our website is just upwithpeople.org. Our Instagram is @upwithpeople, and then feel free to contact me at my email, which is mshade@upwithpeople.org.
Thank you, Matthias. Have a good evening.
Amigos International gives students the opportunity to gain essential education and life experience, leadership training, and a new network of friends by living and working in amazing communities throughout Central and South America. Let's chat with Erin.
Hi, Erin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us about Amigos and what you all do to help students who choose to participate in a gap year.
Yeah, Amigos is the go-to for Latin America. We believe in a world which young people can become lifelong catalysts for social change, and we really specialize in deep, independent immersion for young people.
Fantastic. And it's Latin America. And do students have to participate for the whole year, or do you have options if they want to just do it for a semester?
Yeah, we have both 4-month and 9-month gap year options, as well as 2 to 8-week summer programs. So a lot of different opportunities for students depending on what their schedule allows.
That's really great. How long have you actually worked with Gap Year?
Yeah, I have been with Amigos for about 4 years, and after my first year on this Gap Fair circuit, became really interested in the whole industry, and am now on the Gap Year Association Board of Directors, really promoting Gap Years for all students.
So over the course of those 4 years, what's really surprised you and what have you really learned about the benefits of a gap year?
I think that a gap year can be beneficial for a variety of students, whether they are burnt out, whether they just don't know what they want to do, or they just want hands-on experience to give them greater focus in college. So it's not just about the student who doesn't know what's going on or the student who's immature. It can be really beneficial for a variety of students, and with college being such an investment nowadays, it can be really worth taking the time to step back and know yourself better.
Fantastic. Good luck tonight. I know several families will be joining us soon. Right now they're getting some information from a guest speaker. Good luck as you try to recruit some people for Amigos.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Winterline Global Education offers skills-based gap year and short programs for young adults with an adventurous spirit and an interest in the world around them. Students learn real-world skills to prepare for college, life, and career while traveling the world and exploring passions. The 9-month gap experience is specifically designed to introduce participants to different parts of the world and expand their knowledge of global cultures, issues, and contexts. Let's speak with Nora.
Hi, Nora.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming over to chat with us. So tell us about Winterline.
Winterline is a skills-based gap year program. So the goal is to get students out into the real world, learning skills that sometimes they don't unfortunately get to learn in school. So that's a range of basic life skills, more career-focused skills, and then also some fun skills as well.
Fantastic, and it's really important that we help young people to develop their skills. Now, where are some of the places that you all help them to do that? What kind of environments do you help to immerse them in?
Yeah, so our program is a 9-month program. It visits 10 countries. So students get to travel to Latin America. They also go to Southeast Asia. They go to Europe, and then one of our paths also spends some time in Africa.
Fantastic. So what are some skills that they will have a chance to learn if they are in, say, Southeast Asia or Africa? What could they learn in a place like that?
So that's a huge variety of skills. Our students learn over 100 skills on the program. Some of the basic life skills are cooking, bike repair, personal finance. Those are all going to come up in Southeast Asia. There's also some of those more career-oriented skills I mentioned, public speaking, marketing. They'll also get to try out different careers. So one thing they do in South Africa when they're there is kind of videography and sound editing. And then some fun skills as well. You know, they're going to get to do some kind of more safari, survival-oriented skills in South Africa. They do a visit to a circus school when they're in Cambodia, so it really runs the gambit.
That is great. So a lot of variety, a lot of chances to learn different skills and meet different people, which is really, really important. How long have you worked with Winterline, Nora?
I've been with Winterline a little over 3 years now. I'm the admissions advisor, so I help people kind of from the very beginning of the application process all the way through when they decide to enroll.
So when you're meeting with families, what type of student do you normally see who says, I want to pursue a gap year? Is there a particular student that is interested in this type of program? Is it for everybody? Is there a fit for everybody? Tell us about that.
I generally see 2 kind of categories, and they're really broad categories. One of those is students who are a little burnt out. They kind of need to learn in a new way, and so kind of getting out of the classroom and getting to try all of these new skills is a really great opportunity for them. Then the other student profile that I tend to see in our program is those really high achievers. You know, they get straight A's all the time. They're in half a dozen different clubs, and they're burnt out, and they need a break for different reasons, and this is a way for them to kind of continue learning and maybe explore some interests while taking a break from that typical classroom setting.
That is fantastic. And if they want to learn more about Winterline, how can they learn more about the program?
Winterline.com. That's just WINTERLINE.com. And then my email is nora@winterline.com.
Thank you so much, Nora. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Verto Education is built on the premise that not all students need to or should take the same linear path to earning their college degree, that the world offers these amazing exponential education opportunities that too few take advantage of. Verto uniquely partners with a number of U.S. and international colleges to provide legitimate transferable college credits so that program participants can stay on a 4-year graduation timeline. Here is Susan to tell us more about Verto Education, where academics and adventure collide.
Hello, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Tell us about Verto Education.
Well, Verto Education is a program where we have partnered with over 30 different colleges and universities throughout the U.S. and abroad. And our aim is to help incoming college freshmen study abroad, get college credit for a semester, and then transfer back to one of our partner schools.
Wonderful. How do you all select your partners?
Well, it's a very rigorous program that we go through with a vetting program that we go through, but ultimately we have found some of the top schools that are a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them, so it works out that way.
That's fantastic. So why do you all think that it's good that students study abroad before they actually go to college?
I'm glad you asked that question. That's a very good question. And I always like to say it's a great way for those who maybe are not really ready for college to explore, self-discover, get a chance to see the world a little bit, and then maybe help that maturity level go up a little bit. And it's just a great way to get an education while you're traveling, because I always say traveling is an education in itself.
You learn so much, you meet so many wonderful people, you learn a lot about yourself. How did you get started with Verto Education?
Well, I got started, I've only been with them for about a month, but I had envisioned a program that I designed in my undergrad program, and it had similar components to what Verto does. And so when I saw this, my jaw just literally hit the floor. I'm like, this is the dream manifested right here. So I'm on board, I'm here, I'm excited. So this is just, it's very surreal right now, to tell you the truth.
That's great. So is this your first Gap Year Fair, or you've been to several already?
This is my very first Gap Year Fair, so I'm excited about that. I'm meeting people, which I'm sure my counterparts will meet along the trail. So it's just great to be out and meet people and share what Verto does.
Fantastic. Good luck to you, Susan, in your new adventure with Verto Education. And if students want to learn more about the program and families want to learn more, how can they learn more about the program?
They can go to our website at vertoeducation.org.
Thank you. Have a good night.
AHA! Was founded and is run by art historians who put students in the experience of culture first. All AHA courses are taught on site in front of the works of art so that the experience is vivid and real. The brilliant value of AHA is that you will go home with an educated eye and a greater sense of intellectual confidence and maturity. Here is George from Art History Abroad.
Art History Abroad. So you all travel specifically looking at art history. Tell us about it, George.
So we've been running for about 45 years. We're a British program, and we take students who are mostly on their gap years to Italy, and we try and look at the world by thinking about its art. And so we are out and about. We're never in a classroom, and we're always engaging and observing and talking about art in a discussion-based way of learning. So it doesn't matter what your background is, whether you're a scientist or you're interested in English, we don't mind. We take trips, and we are interested in looking at the visual world because we think that people aren't doing that enough.
That is so true. So is the program for 1 year, a semester? Tell us how long the program is and how individuals can get more information about it.
Sure. So our website's the best bet to find out more. And what we do is we run courses from 2 weeks in the summer. So for juniors and for people that haven't got a gap year planned but want a bit of time in Europe. And then that's our shortest course, but we extend to 12 weeks for a semester course in the fall, where we also go to France and we spend some time in England as well. So there are various options between those two. You can do 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks. We don't offer anything longer than 12 though, so but we feel that within 12 weeks you've seen enough. You know, you've seen quite a lot.
And had a lot of discussions about what you've seen as well.
Exactly, because we don't lecture ever. We're always discursive, and so our students are encouraged to provide lots of the thought that we're engaging with.
So what's the ratio of instructor to students on these 12-week excursions?
That's a really important question. So we believe that intimate learning groups are the best way. So you never have more than 8 students per teacher. Even if there were 25 people on the course, which is the sort of maximum that we take, we would have 4 or 5 teachers out in Italy on the ground. So we can then get to know the students, because that's what's fun for us. You know, finding out that someone's got a passion for whatever particularly eccentric niche is what makes it really exciting.
Is it a really expensive program, George? I know some people feel like they can't participate in a gap year because they don't have the means to pay for out of pocket? Do you have any scholarships, or how do a lot of families finance this experience with AHA?
So that's an important question as well. The courses are quite expensive, but we do have scholarships, and they're very simple to win. One is musical, where you have to send a cover of yourself doing a song that you like, and the other is you have to write a few hundred words about a piece of art that you really love, and then a few hundred words about a piece of art that you really hate. And we're not looking for any studied sort of research so much as just opinion. And we also offer means-based stuff. So if someone comes to us and says, look, I'm deeply passionate about the Renaissance, I have to come to Florence with you, but the money's going to be a problem, then we'll work with that. There are also very good scholarships to be found in this room and in the Gap Year fairs. Go Overseas offer good scholarships. So they're trying to promote the Gap Year as an accessible, affordable option for families that otherwise would struggle to.
And how long have you been with AHA? How did you get started with the program?
So I was a student myself when I was 18 on my own Gap Year, and I enjoyed it so much that once I'd finished university, where I was only, I've never studied art history so much as just had a passion for it, and I finished university in 2018 and have been working for art history abroad since.
That's great. Now, having been a Gap Year participant yourself, why do you feel it was so beneficial for you?
I think it changes how you see the world, which sounds grandiose and ambitious, but it broadens your perspective. You meet people, you do things that you think you love, and you maybe find out that you do love, or that you thought you loved and find out that you didn't. You travel, you explore, you earn some money, and you become much more conscious of what you want to do in the world and what your place in the world is and sort of who you are. And when I started at university, I felt very strongly that I wanted to be there. And people who come straight from high school into college haven't worked that out yet necessarily. They're still on the conveyor belt. And I think there's a very pressurized, I mean, I'm an English, I went to English university and I've been in English education all my life, but here, like there is a pressure on you as a high school student. And it's very nice just taking some time off to think about that. And how Art History Abroad worked for me is that it was a sort of intellectual program, but in a totally new environment. I'd never thought about learning for the sake of learning, and I lived in India for 4 months, and I just had experiences that changed how I think about myself and the world.
Wonderful. Good luck tonight as you meet various families here in Charlotte to convince them to think about AHA.
Thank you so much. That's really kind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, George.
Semester at Sea's 590-foot passenger ship is outfitted as a globe-exploring university, a living, learning community that provides a platform for discussion, coursework, and deep connections, all while traveling to new locations. Go to class while sailing the sea, watch the sunset over the Indian Ocean, or stare up at the Mediterranean stars. Whether in class, studying, or engaging in shipboard activities, you're always a few steps away from friends, the ocean, and a global perspective. Let's chat with Matthias to learn more.
Matthias.
Hey, how's it going?
Everything's going great. So tell us about Semester at Sea and what you all do.
Sure. So Semester at Sea is a shipboard-based program. We send about 550 students on board a floating campus, and it sails to 10 countries around the world, stopping in each country for about 6 days. And students take classes on board the ship for the whole semester while they sail around the world.
Wow. A campus on sea. That is really interesting. Are there any other Gap Year programs similar to that?
There are some other shipboard-based ones, but we are very different in that you get college credit from university professors on board the ship.
That is really interesting. Is it the entire college experience on that ship?
It's the entire college experience.
Oh, I could just imagine. So what are some of the courses that the students may take on the ship?
So we have about 75 different disciplines. So intro to anthropology, global studies, business, psychology, biomedical diversity. That's 120 different courses that we offer throughout the semester.
That is really great. What's the average class size on that boat?
It's about 15 to 20 students. So very small. The professors are living on board the ship with you, so you have a lot of time to spend with them in class, and also great discussions over dinner and lunch.
Oh my gosh. I could see that being a reality show. Have y'all ever thought about recording that? That could be really fascinating to watch.
Well, there's a show called Sweet Life on Deck that is similar that a lot of students these days have watched when they were kids, so someone's already done it.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot about it. I guess I'm a little old. I forgot about that. How long have you actually been with SAS, and what drew you to this particular program?
So I did the program myself back in 2012 when I was a university student, and I've been here for about a year and a half, working in the Southeast, recruiting students to sail on board with us.
What is it like being on the other side now that you are recruiting? What do you tell students specifically, having been a participant yourself?
I tell them basically more about ship life. What is it like to live on board a ship for 3 whole months with 500 students from a bunch of different backgrounds, different countries, different universities, and just living on board a ship with no internet. So you have a lot of time. There's some internet, don't worry, but you have time to actually talk to people, get to know people more than you would from any other place back at home because you're not on your phone. And then also the sunsets on the back deck, the stars in the middle of the night. It's very unique, aside from the countries that you're going to as well.
Wow, that is so interesting. If individuals want to learn more about SAS, how can we learn more about the program?
So we have our website, semestert.org, has so much information, but also there's people like me across the U.S. that are happy to help.
Thank you so much, Matthias, for telling us about Semester at Sea. Check it out, everyone.
Ambitious and motivated students attend the High Mountain Institute to connect with nature, develop as leaders and critical thinkers, and discover learning at its best. HMI prepares adolescents to take risks, collaborate with peers, communicate with people who hold diverse perspectives, and build trusting relationships. When nature and minds meet, extraordinary academic and personal achievement follows. Here's Chris to tell us more about the High Mountain Institute.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. So tell us about High Mountain Institute and what you all do.
So the High Mountain Institute, we say HMI, it's a little easier. We're a school based in Colorado. We have a lot of different opportunities for students from middle school through post-college. The program that I'm associated with is the Gap program, so it's for post-high school or sometimes students in college taking a semester off. And really what we do is wilderness experiences, so sort of adventure travel, rock climbing, backpacking, skiing, and combining that with more of an intellectual focus, and so learning about the environments where we go, and also a real strong focus on community and leadership, so like the sort of intrapersonal reflection, interpersonal skills, and it's part of that group experience.
So when we're looking at a typical day, how do you all balance the intellectual development of the students, the interpersonal, the exploration, the adventure? How do you balance all those different components to make sure that students really are learning?
Absolutely. So when we think about the program planning, it's all very separate, but in a given day, it's very much integrated into the fabric of the course. So students wake up and they're sleeping in a tent. So they have the skills to be living outside for a whole semester in all kinds of environments. So they have, even though it's rugged travel, we want to learn to be comfortable in these tougher environments. And so it ends up being a lot of fun. So they wake up, cook a meal on a Whisper Light stove, a little camping stove, and then pack their bag but might hike to a site where they're doing either a trail building project where they're restoring a trail through a pristine wilderness area, or maybe they're collecting water samples from an area impacted by mining, and those water samples will be taken to a lab to be evaluated for what the impacts of mining are in that area, and whether the water is safe to drink, if it's safe for the environment there. And then after that, they might read an article that is relevant to that place and the activity they're just doing. So, maybe an article that's the history of mining in that area, and have a discussion on that so they kind of understand how that work they just did will sort of the context of that work and why it's relevant to the place where they are.
So how do you choose the various places? Because you have to choose places that are going to be very rich in a lot of exploration so that students can learn a lot and have things to do. So how do you all choose the different places?
A long bit of research is one part of that. One thing that's interesting is a lot of the places that are really attractive to go as a tourist. We operate in the Rocky Mountain West in the United States, and then in Patagonia in South America. And so those are huge attractions that people want to go to as tourists anyway. What's great about it is as soon as you start asking interesting questions, there's all kinds of information to learn about these places and all kinds of complicated the different people who live there and have different values about how these places should be taken care of. And so I would almost say that anywhere if you travel, if you ask the right questions, you will learn a lot of really interesting things that you didn't even know was interesting beforehand. So
Mary Tyler Moore says that love is all around, learning is all around.
I think so too. And that's one of the big goals of our program is to have students go from a lot of your more traditional high school experiences, which is more you're being told what you're supposed to learn, and hopefully it's made interesting by great teachers, to saying actually, if your curiosity is the driver of what you're learning, there's a lot of really interesting things that are really exciting out there, and it can be really fun. You know, we're doing these great activities, camping, climbing, but also doing those with a sort of an ethic of curiosity and of taking care of these places that are so special.
That is great. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much to you.
Sea Semester is an off-campus environmental studies program focused on the ocean and accredited by Boston University. While the academic focus varies, each program offers an interconnected suite of courses designed to explore a specific ocean-related theme using a cross-disciplinary approach. Here is Lydia from Sea Semester.
Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us about Sea Semester. What's so unique about your program?
So we offer an opportunity for students to go aboard a tall ship. So it's 134 feet. We have 2 masts and 11 sails, and we essentially are teaching our students how to be good environmental stewards along with how to sail such a giant vessel.
Wow. So what does the programming entail as you're trying to teach them to be environmental stewards? What types of things are they doing and learning to do just that?
Mm-hmm. So we're teaching them how to deploy real-world scientific equipment over the side of our ship, and then we take everything back on board our ship, and we have a lab as well where we take the data that we find, analyze it, and figure out what's going on in the real world.
Wow, that is great. About how many participants do you all have each semester?
Ideally, we would like to have 20 to 25 students.
Okay. And so on average, how much does it cost for them to participate?
So for our gap year program, we offer 2 different types. We have one that's credit bearing and one that's non-credit bearing. And the credit bearing one is 12 weeks long, and you earn up to 18 credits through Boston University. And those credits will transfer to whatever school you decide to go to. And that program costs around $25,000. And then we also offer a non-credit bearing option, which is 9 weeks long. And that is about $14,500. And we also offer scholarships based off of merit, normal scholarships, and also financial aid.
That's great. So when students are thinking about, will I choose it for credit or non-credit bearing, is it just the cost that they consider, or are there other options and distinctions between those 2 programs?
Mm-hmm. So for the credit bearing option, they're taking 5 different courses, and that's in a range of, maritime studies, nautical science, and oceanography, leadership. And we find that a lot of students are either very drawn to those types of courses, and they'll sign up for the 12-week program to get the credit. However, we also have students who just want the experience part of the program, and so they'll choose the 9-week option where they're only learning about, broader ideas without necessarily the tests, quizzes, and homework.
So what brought you to this work, Lydia? How did you get connected with Sea Semester?
Well, I began as a college student. So freshman year, I saw a billboard with one of their, posters up on the wall. And I, as an 18-year-old, I said, I'm going to do that one day. So as a junior in college, I decided to do the program. And after that, I was hooked. And I came back, and I was a residential advisor for one of their high school programs. And then I decided to join the ship with their gap year program as a sailing intern and a mentor. And now I'm doing this, and I'm hoping to get back on the ship in late March to do a joint program with MIT and other students.
That is fantastic. So whenever you're helping to recruit students for the program, who do you all look for when you're talking about Sea Semester? Is it individuals who just love the water, or individuals who want to be out their comfort zone? How do you help to steer people towards Sea Semester?
So we offer a program that is for any student. So we get a lot of students who are, of course, interested in, the marine sciences, being out in the water and sailing. But we also get students who are interested in also getting out of their comfort zone, as you mentioned, and doing something a little bit unique, something different, something that they probably would never have done at any other point in their life.
Rising Earth is holistic immersion for social and environmental change makers. The program takes a spiritual and holistic approach to social and environmental activism, selecting a cohort of 12 change makers, ages 18 to 28, to live at the Eco Institute at Pickers Mountain and develop such skills as permaculture, homesteading, contemplative practice, somatic self-care, conscious communication, collaborative leadership, and dynamic activism. Let the conversation rise with Allison.
So, Allison, tell us about Rising Earth.
Sure.
So Rising Earth is a holistic environmental leadership program that takes place at the Eco Institute in Chapel Hill, so not too far from here. And we offer 2 programs per year, a 5-week semester in the spring and a 10-week semester in the fall.
Wonderful. And so what will students do during that time should they choose to participate in Rising Earth? What does the program entail?
Yeah, so there's a lot of garden time involved. And garden education, we practice a particular type of regenerative agriculture at the Eco Institute called permaculture. It's a really interesting whole systems design approach to gardening that you can check out online. So they're getting their permaculture foundation certificate and working alongside other community members who participate in our garden cooperative program. They're also getting direct guidance from our local farmer who has a wide range of knowledge. There are a number of different classes that are focused more on personal development, leadership skills, nonviolent communication, how to have depolarizing conversations with people who have different political views than you do, all these sorts of skills that we think are really relevant for today's youth. And then we also have all kinds of internal programs or internal structures for mentorship and group governance. So the group collaborates on what kind of group activism project they want to do together during their time there. Everybody's assigned a mentor who's someone in the community who they're working actively one-on-one with, thinking about what they're doing with their life beyond the last date of the program. So we really try and provide a holistic experience that it's not just one isolated thing that someone did once, but it's inspiring a whole lifetime of social and environmental contribution.
That's great. So on average, about how many students do you all enroll during each cohort?
So 12 is our cap, and we had 12 last fall. We have run the program with fewer before. Yeah, but we aim for 12.
And so on average, how much does it cost to participate in Rising Earth?
So the spring program, which is 5 weeks, is $5,500, and the fall program, which is 10 weeks, is $10,000. And we are a nonprofit and have access to a really robust scholarship fund, and we have very abundant equity and need-based scholarships that I would be happy to share with anybody who's curious, because it's really important to us to make our programs accessible to anyone who applies.
So with that cost, what is all included in that particular cost? Whether they get the scholarship or they pay out of pocket, what does that entail?
Yeah, so we call it all-inclusive because it's all your programmatic expenses, so your workshops, your classes, farm and garden supplies while you're there, room and board. We provide relatively rustic room, and it's a very beautiful, simple, nature immersive experience, and all kinds of fresh food. We practice a lot of ethics in everything we do, so we'll have people shopping at the farmer's market rather than going to a local chain grocery store or buying staples in bulk and learning how to make hummus from scratch by soaking chickpeas instead of buying it from a can. So there's like education that is afforded by the program price. And and we also are able to provide our teachers a living wage, and everything we do supports other organizations who are healing the human-earth relationship.
That is great. So if we want more information about Rising Earth, how can we get it?
So you can go to eco-institute.org, or you can look up Eco Institute at Pickett's Mountain or Eco Institute Chapel Hill, and then just click over to Rising Earth Immersion.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, too. It was a lot of fun.
ARC Gap Year programs offer an educational and cultural bridge between high school and college. They are an opportunity to live, work, learn, and explore in some of the greatest classrooms on earth. Designed with a rich educational fabric complementing each and every location, they highlight regional issues that are directly linked to global challenges. Let's learn more from Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
So tell us about ARC. What distinguishes you all from the other options that are out there?
Yeah, so I think we are what we call a structured group program. So it's small groups, 8 to 12 students. You're traveling together for that semester. And our goal really is for students to, maybe you're coming in with an interest, but we want you to explore that interest in a way that might translate into a future major or career. So if you're interested in public health, you're going to be doing projects that are really hands-on, so you can see what it means to be involved in public health out in the world.
So how do you all balance that? If you have 8 students and somebody's interested in public health but someone else is interested in something else, how do you all balance that, or is everybody on that particular group interested in mostly the same thing?
So all of our programs are built around 5 themes: public health, education, environment and conservation, urbanization, and microfinance. So all of our semesters have projects that link to all of those themes. So everybody's doing a little bit of everything.
Well, that is great. So when individuals are choosing gap year programs, why do you think some people want that structured program as opposed to being able to pursue some of the other options?
Yeah, I think part of it is, parents want to make sure their child is safe and secure, and we can assure that. We do, have all of our leaders are wilderness first responder trained, so medically they have a really strong background. And I think students still want some of that structure, but they want to be able to learn and kind of edge up into freedom and independence, and that's what our program is based around. There's a leadership curriculum that we want them to come in as, whatever they are and build that leadership and take on leadership roles within the group. And ultimately, that kind of culminates in what we call a student plan module, which is 4 days where the students plan everything. The leaders kind of step back, they say, here's your budget, and the students have to plan the activities, where they're going to stay, how they're going to get there, what they're going to eat, and stay on budget. So it's this mini unit where they have to basically plan and learn how to travel and get that kind of those skills that might translate well to more independent semester later.
Wow. So what brought you to the whole art gap year? What really prompted you to pursue this type of work?
So I actually led GAP programs for a different company several years ago. They were 8-month-long global around-the-world programs. And I just kind of fell in love with the interaction with students and the mentorship aspect, and getting to see these students come out of high school as, thinking they're all grown up and they have everything together, and what they learn about themselves throughout that time. And then I was kind of away from it for a while, and then through this community where everybody knows everybody, I found my way to ARC, and now I direct our Asia Gap program.
That's great. So, Emily, a lot of people in this room and in this group know about the benefits of gap year. How do you sway parents or really educate parents who may be on the fence about the benefits of a gap year?
So what the research is showing, statistics, what colleges are seeing, is that students that take a gap year come in more mature, more focused, more willing to get engaged on campus. So they're the ones who are taking leadership roles in clubs or starting clubs because they've had experience kind of out being independent and learning how to be a leader. And so they're coming in just more engaged and ready to be a part of a community, and that often translates to better grades. Sometimes they're graduating early, and they're just building their resumes in a way that parents are really on board with usually.
In such a distinctive way that you're building your resume. So if we want to learn more information about the ARC Gap Year, tell us how we can find out.
So we are at arcgap.com, and that's ARCC Gap. You can also search ARC programs. We also offer summer programs for 13 through 18-year-olds. And so that's our website's the best way. We also have social media, ARC Adventures, and ARC Gap.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
Brewster Academy offers a structured gap year program that provides a traditional fall session on the school's Wolfboro, New Hampshire campus before students spend the following 2 trimesters in the abroad programs in Spain. The coursework is tailored to each student's specific goals and requirements in preparation for a smooth college transition. Here is Doug to provide more details.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Marlow.
So tell us about Brewster Academy and what kind of gap year program do you all offer?
Brewster Academy Gap Year is a full-year program. We are a traditional accredited boarding school. 3 years ago, we added a global program for our students, and we clearly saw the market for the gap year. So we took an experience of what a postgraduate student would have, a student who already has a high school diploma, and we blended it with our global program. So if you were to choose to do a gap year at Brewster, you would spend the fall trimester on campus with us, having a traditional academic experience with a heaping dose of college guidance. You could play a fall sport if you so choose. And then in the winter trimester, you would go to our campus in the Canary Islands and have a cultural curriculum there. And then after March break, you would go to our campus in Spain and have a more historical curriculum.
Wow, it's very comprehensive. Like you kind of touch on a lot of different aspects that appeal to families. Why did you all choose to design in that fashion?
Well, I didn't explain it very well. We have about 50 postgraduate students at Brewster, and we also have a newly created global program. And our head of school, very savvy person, he knows that the gap year industry is a brisk industry, and we saw that there was an interesting market to blend the experience of a postgraduate student with the appetite for global programs, which Brewster, just want to clarify that all of our partners in our global are all Brewster employees. We don't use a third party, and it's 1 year old, and we're getting good returns and good feedback.
Wow. So what's the average cost, Doug, if they're going to participate in this year-long program at Brewster?
$67,000. So we understand it's a very large price tag, and we're seeing it as a fifth year of college, a vibrant year of boarding school. It's sort of a gap year plus, if you will, and just to understate the level of college guidance that you get in the fall, you're getting that from some of the best in the world.
Wow. How long have you been with Brewster, since the very beginning?
I started Brewster in 1995. I was an instructional support teacher, then a history teacher, then a fundraiser, and now integrated outreach.
Wow, so that's a lot of different experiences. So if we want to learn more about Brewster Academy, how can we find it out?
You can go to brewsteracademy.org. The website has everything you can possibly want. And then obviously look for boarding school fair, college fair, gap year fair. It's all out there.
Brewster covers it all, huh, Doug?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlow.
Dynamy Internship is a domestic, long-standing gap year program created for students ages 17 to 22 who want to pursue hands-on learning filled with meaningful opportunities to gain real-world work experience, explore career interests, and build critical life skills. Dynamy is also a great post-secondary option for students with learning differences such as ADD or ADHD. Taking a personalized approach to learning, Dynamy provides students with a year on. Let's chat with Stephanie.
So tell us what you do at Dynamy, Stephanie.
Sure. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Dynamy Internship Year.
Wonderful. And Dynamy is one of the founding partners and kind of one of the pioneers with the Gap Year program. So tell us what all you all do, what programs you offer, and how individuals can learn more about it.
Sure. So Dynamy has been, up until last year, has been running the USA Gap Year Fairs, just promoting, the general message of the benefits of taking gap time for about 13 years now. Separately, Dynamy Internship Year is a domestic-based gap year program in Worcester, Massachusetts. We focus on career exploration through through internships and independent living.
So what are some of those careers that students can explore should they choose to participate with Dynamy?
Sure. So Dynamy is in Worcester, Massachusetts, and Worcester is a great little city about an hour outside of Boston. And Dynamy's been around a long time. So we have a little over 100 different internships to offer students. So for students that maybe want to try, web design, communications, media, they maybe are interested in working with animals or in, the educational field. Again, there's over 100 different options.
And how do you all choose your partners in terms of individuals who want to pursue those different careers? How do you make sure that they have some practitioners in the field that they can partner with?
That's a great question. So our students do work one-on-one with an advisor while they're with us in the program, and our advisors do a lot of that outreach and establishing these mutually beneficial internships with different businesses, and we call them sponsors around the city of Worcester. And Dynamy's actually been around since 1969. So we've spent a lot of time building quality internships with different businesses around the city.
That is great. So it's really a lot of schools now are moving away from career exploration. So something like Dynamy would really allow them to explore the careers that are available to them.
That's very true. You know, a lot of students like my generation, you know, we graduated high school and we either went to college or right into the workforce. And if you did go to college, you're like, you know, a lot of folks that probably aren't working in the major or the field that they got their degree in. This gives students a chance to actually try different career fields before they actually go and get a degree that they may or may not use.
That's good, that exploration before they really decide to immerse themselves into a particular major. So how can we learn more about Dynamy, Stephanie, if we were looking for more information about it?
Sure, you can visit our website at www.dynamy.org, or you can call us directly at 508-755-2571.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The world is waiting. Learn a language abroad. See the world, experience a new culture, and make friends from around the world as you prepare for your global future. EF's fun and interactive classes help you learn faster while living the language firsthand. Let's chat with Billy about EF language campuses.
Hi, Billy.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. So tell us about EF language campuses. We know about EF tours, so tell us about EF language campuses.
Yeah, so a lot of people know EF here in the U.S. for the tours we run for high school and middle school students, but we actually have opportunities for students to travel individually to attend one of our 16 different language campuses for all different course lengths, as short as 2 weeks, as long as a whole year, for 10 different languages.
Wow, and where are some of these sites that students can visit?
Yeah, so we have, for example, Spanish locations in Spain, in Madrid, Barcelona, in Malaga, and Costa Rica, French in Paris and Nice, German in Berlin and Munich, Italian in Rome, Portuguese in Lisbon, Arabic in Dubai, Japanese in Tokyo, Korean in Seoul, Mandarin in Shanghai, and we just opened up Russian in Moscow this year.
Wow. And so students travel individually. They're not traveling with a cohort. They're by themselves?
So they typically will travel over to the destination on their own or with a friend, but once they get there, they're going to be joined by a community of students from over 40 different countries.
Wonderful. How many individuals do you take for each cohort?
So we actually have flexible start dates. So students can start any Monday of the year they want. So it's really flexible. They can go any Monday they want and do as many weeks as they want, as short as 2 weeks, as long as a whole year, and everything in between.
Wow. So tell us about the cost. If we decided to do it for 2 weeks, how much it costs? Is it a sliding scale if they decide to do more?
Exactly. It's a sliding scale. So you can really put together the program that makes the most sense for you and your budget and your timing. But we offer 2-week programs that are around $1,000, including housing. So they can be pretty affordable, and we have payment plans and scholarships available as well. So there's a lot of ways for students to be able to get a program that works for them.
That's great. So with, the diversity that's in our world, I mean, being global citizens is really important that students have an opportunity to learn another language or be immersed in another culture. This makes us so well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our whole mission at EF is opening the world through education, so we really want to give opportunities to students to be able to learn a language and therefore understand the culture a little bit deeper by having that language skill, and then, of course, meeting the students who are coming from all over the world as well to our schools.
If we want to learn more about EF language campuses, how can we find out about it?
So you can go to livethelanguage.com. It's our website. You can find all about our programs there.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you, Billy.
Nice to meet you.
Each year, students across America are choosing to postpone their traditional academic plans and participate in a gap year experience. There are many compelling reasons to take a gap year, including the opportunity for students to explore their interests and develop a purpose for their future. Research shows that gap years could actually help students succeed in college, since participants may be more focused, mature, and motivated for their undergraduate experience. Let's hear from some students as to why they have decided to take a gap year.
Now being joined by Amelia. She is a senior here in Charlotte, and she just went through the gap year fair. So Amelia, what brought you here today?
I'm interested in a gap year, and I want to learn more about it. I have a general idea of what I want to do, but I wanted some more clear program options.
So what prompted you to really decide that a gap year was for you?
I think it's a mixture of burnout and also just I want to focus on my mental health. For me, I've been working hard all these 4 years, and I really want a chance to breathe and kind of like further understand who I am, what I want to do, and also I feel like getting sort of like a grassroots experience would be a really cool way to understand, the value of what I'm learning. So I just want a grassroots experience to sort of give new credence to like what I'm learning in the classroom and why it's important outside of it.
Experiential learning, being immersed in different experiences, they're so important because you have a chance to learn in a different way. So as you explore all of these different programs, which programs really stood out to you?
They were all really interesting. Personally, I'm really interested in Spanish immersion because I want to better my Spanish. So a lot of the programs that offered South American programs, like, let's see, what were their names? There was Amigos. Amigos, that was a good one. The one that's pink, I don't remember the name of it. What's that one?
We'll find it.
We'll find out. And then definitely the Where There Be Dragons, that was a good one. And then, let's see what else.
Yeah, you got a lot of different resources.
Thinking Beyond Borders. Those were all really cool ones, so I'll definitely check them out a little bit more when I get home.
So when you explore all your various options, are you thinking about a semester? Are you thinking about a whole complete year? Are you trying to do a series of programs? What are you thinking right now? How are you going to design your program?
So my sort of game plan so far is I'm going to take a full gap year, and I'm doing an internship and a study sort of program in Spain for 10 weeks, then a fall program, not entirely sure, but somewhere in South America to really get that Spanish sort of back to back. And then hopefully in the sort of winter, springtime, go maybe to Southeast Asia or a place I've never really been to. So.
And so what college are you thinking about once you finish the gap year? Have you started thinking about your college choices?
Yes, I actually got into Duke University, so I'll just defer enrollment.
Congratulations. No wonder she's wearing her Duke sweatshirt here. Congratulations to you and best wishes as you explore your gap year and then enroll in Duke University.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
So the Gap Year Fair is in full effect, and I'm now being joined by Jack. He is, what year are you, Jack?
I am a senior at Christ Church Episcopal School.
So Jack is a senior. So what makes you think about a gap year? What really caused you to come here today to explore your options?
Well, in my academic experience, I've noticed that maybe I'm lacking maturity qualities, that maybe jumping straight into college may not be the best experience for me, which, you know, ironically is a pretty mature observation. But just the wildness and diversity of what is out there outside of the traditional, you know, go to college immediately, I feel like, you know, there's this pressure weighing down on us as students that you don't realize there's so much to experience available to you directly through these gap years.
That is really great, Jack, that you're so reflective and you're thinking about what your options are and not really succumbing to that pressure. So as you look at all the different programs, what really appeals to you? Have you seen any program that really jumps out to you?
At this moment in time, I haven't had an opportunity to go see all this, but in general, I think for the most part, I'd like to segment my gap year up into a work experience, maybe teaching somewhere. Volunteer is, you know, very cultivated at my school, so I'm very familiar with going out and doing volunteer work. But travel is probably the most interesting to me. Get out there, I've got Latin American roots, maybe get somewhere into Central or South America and check out something like that would be most interesting.
Well, that sounds great. So good luck, Jack, as you explore your options and check out the various vendors here today. There are over 20 represented, and so you have a lot that you could choose from.
Whole lot to see. I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Now I'm being joined by Jacqueline. She is a junior here in Charlotte. So what brought you to the Gap Year Fair, Jacqueline?
Well, today I came because I've always lived in Charlotte, North Carolina my whole life, and I've always gone to pretty much the same school in the same area, and I've always wanted to travel. I went to Greece last summer, and I absolutely loved it. I've never been outside of the country, and I absolutely loved it. It changed my views on how there's just so many other things out in the world, like culture and just language and food and just getting yourself out there and getting out of that bubble that everyone has always lived in.
I think that's great that you're really thinking about exposing yourself and making sure that you're well-rounded. So as you explore all these different programs, were there any, Jacqueline, that really stood out to you?
Well, actually, yes. As I've been studying school, I've been really interested in environmental issues and like conserving the environment, global warming, all of that. So I did see a lot of programs that offered that, and I'm really interested in going out somewhere, Australia, who knows, Costa Rica, and doing conservation with turtles or animals just to help the environment.
That is fantastic. Now, Jacqueline, are you looking for a semester-long program, year-long? what are you thinking about right now?
Well, as long as for a gap year, my mindset right now is that I've been in school as long as I can remember. So I feel like before I take the next step in my life, I would love to just have a year to just figure out myself for my mental health, just go out in the world and explore. So, yeah, I think that's what I want to do.
That's fantastic. Well, we wish you well as you navigate this experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much for watching our new series, Tar Heel Teachers on the Road. You never know where I'm going to end up, so stay tuned. We look forward to seeing you all next week on Tar Heel Teachers on the Road.